Welcome back to the Greatest Teacher of All Time, where I, Quincy Dawson, interview teachers of color tied to their personalities, strategies, and philosophies on education. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel and visit greatesteacherofalltime.com to help me support more great teachers like Mr. Gardner. What's up, Adrian?
What's going on, man? How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Thank you so much for getting big in the education space in Atlanta. So I had to hit you up for this.
Oh man, I appreciate that, man. I appreciate, um, yeah, man. I'm proud of your platform and everything, and I appreciate everything you're doing. Highlighting us educators and everything. We don't get, a lot of times platform to, show us and sometimes show the thing we do outside of education. So I appreciate you.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we're getting into. So first, starting off with like the generic stuff. So, Mr. Gardner, you're a middle school math teacher, right?
Yes, sir. Seventh grade math.
All right, seventh grade math. And how long you been doing this for?
This is year 7 for me.
Year seven. Yeah, man, you're doing it. You're doing it. In addition to teaching, you're also a football coach,
Yes,
right?
sir.
How
Football.
is that going? Middle
It's
school
actually
football.
It's actually going good, man. It's different. You see how football is kind of looked at with different weights in different places. Different people take it serious. So I'm from like South Georgia, and our middle school football. Our high school football is a bigger culture than the middle school football. But when I moved up here, and I seen how big the middle school culture could get, especially these past couple of years, so it's like, okay, all right, it's got almost just as much excitement, to me, to be honest.
Really, that's so interesting. Incitement in terms of like fanfare, people attending games, stuff like that.
Yeah, actually, because they have a big the park ball program, like the rec ball program down here. It's big, it's actually a lot bigger than I thought. And a lot of those kids, once they start playing, middle school ball and everything, those same parents come. A lot of those kids been playing together, so those crowds. Sometimes they bring those crowds with them, and
Mm.
that can bring a good, good exposure to that grade level, I guess, or that talent level of boy.
Yeah, I'm sure. So wait, middle school, are they tackling or is this like
Oh yeah,
flag football or really? Okay, wow.
yeah, tackling just like high school, except it's just sixth through eighth grade.
Sixth graders, man, that's scary, low key. Hey, you got it. You got it. But yeah, let's talk about more on the education side now, right? So you're a seventh grade math teacher,
Mhm.
and I've talked to a lot of different types of teachers, elementary school teachers, middle school, high school, and I think middle school is when math starts getting hard, right? That's when they introduce the letters and everything, right?
Yeah, we start getting in the pre-algebra and everything. They first start to see x as a variable instead of just the multiplication symbol.
Phew.
So that whole little transition right there, it just twists them up a lot. So yeah, and then you couple that with middle school at the point of time where a lot of them are their hormones are up and down. They're starting to figure out who they are. And there's a lot of other just factors starting to come into play. They're starting to think about their friends and who they're trying to click up with and all kind of stuff like that. So yeah, just that middle school age is yeah, it's a lot, and just to couple that with learning math too, and math is also changing. Yeah,
Right? Yeah, it's like wow. Yeah, I guess seventh grade pre-algebra is like the puberty of math classes.
right, exactly,
Wow.
exactly.
Okay. So you went to Georgia Tech, correct?
Yes, yes, I
And do you
did.
study math over there?
My major was science, technology, and cultures. That's what I got my degree in.
Okay, okay. So I studied and taught physics, high school physics. And so with that, I feel like I have a great opportunity, mainly doing freshman physics, to get students excited about science again,
Mhm.
right? I feel like for you in your math classes, when you're introducing like variables and stuff like that, you're probably getting to the point where students are losing interest in math. How do you keep them excited, especially in like the puberty math class?
Mhm. So, yeah, it's funny that we're actually, talking about this right now because I told you I was on a conference call earlier, well, like a little Zoom call, and it was basically on, student engagement, how to improve student engagement and everything. And one of the main ways that, they are kind of implementing nowadays to improve student engagement is to actually increase student autonomy, which is basically like them having their own decisions and choices in the classroom. A lot more student-led discussions and student-led activities and things like that. So when they're allowed to actually do and kind of in some points instruct, that causes them to be a lot more engaged. And when they have to show someone else, you got to know it better to show someone else. So that can kind of get them more engaged in the topic anyway. So I guess to answer your question would just be, a lot more student-led things and them having more autonomy in the classroom.
Yeah, man. And so you've been doing this for 7 years now. And I guess what I'm saying is teaching physics, right? So um physics has the opportunity to be exciting, right? You're like throwing things, doing experiments, things like that. With the AP physics class, those students are already excited because they are definitely going to college. They're definitely interested in physics.
Right.
I guess I'm thinking for your math class, giving these students more autonomy, what makes them want that autonomy is what I'm trying to say.
Well, sometimes you got to kind of play on the period of time they are in their life. A lot of them want to be rebellious anyway, and they don't want to listen to anybody.
Yeah, right. Especially in a math class.
Exactly. So you just kind of let them be the boss a little bit in certain activities per se. You feel me? Let them kind of talk to it amongst themselves. One thing that I've done in my classroom recently is that I've increased my amount of peer review. So they're critiquing each other. They're if an assignment calls for them to create an expression, I might have each person make their own expression, to represent a situation. But then I will have them, show it to each other so they can, correct each other or they can agree or disagree as to, which one they feel like is correct. So that's kind of helping out with it.
Okay. And I bet that definitely makes grading a lot easier, right?
Yeah, it does. It does. It
Yeah,
does.
right. Okay, okay. And so I guess maybe, so you said you studied science and technology at Georgia Tech. What made you teach math and maybe not biology or chemistry?
Well, it's funny. The way I kind of got into the math aspect was that math was initially one of my weakest subjects in school, but it took my sophomore year teacher in high school, Miss Solomon. She just kind of made me love math again and made me actually be real kind of, I guess, more interested in math, and it just wasn't such a drag, and I guess I kind of see a lot of these students as they're at the same point that I was, where a lot of them are kind of on that halfway to where, some of them like math, but then some of them, they're seeing they're starting to struggle a little bit. They're noticing that the math is getting, a little more difficult. So,
Yeah, man, that's so funny. And interviewing all these teachers, you always hear these common themes in the stories where like students who weren't good at a subject had that one teacher who pushed them to do it,
uh,
right? So I love that you had like a really similar experience. And I think that just shows the power of being a great teacher.
yeah, man, it just, even if you can just touch one person, sometimes you can just touch that one student, and me being in year 7, a lot of the kids who I taught my first year, I'm getting their little brothers, little sisters, I'm seeing some of them again, their senior years of high school and stuff. And, it's good, when you have that effect on them.
Yeah, and that's great. And so you're from Atlanta also. Are you teaching in the same area where you grew up? Are you close nearby?
Well, no, I'm actually not from Atlanta. I'm from a city 2.5 hours south of Atlanta called Dawson, Georgia. But I moved
Okay.
up to Atlanta in 2011 when I started school at Georgia Tech. So I've been in Atlanta for maybe like about 12 years now.
Okay, okay.
And I
Nice, nice.
actually, yeah, and I actually started, I was living downtown. So I just recently moved to the area that I teach at, when I started teaching there.
Okay, so now you're in the area. Okay, that makes sense. So yeah, I do want to talk more about your interest in math and other things too. But before we get into that, let's hear a word from my sponsor, Teachers of Color Matter.
Friend, we need to talk. As a teacher of color with a social justice mindset, I know if I give big to my students, I also need to replenish big to myself. My Clap for Yourself 5-minute reflection journal is perfect. This journal was designed for teachers of color, so it takes my experiences in the classroom to heart. And friend, this journal has everything. It helps me address feelings of overwhelm, anxiety, and self-doubt. I can either fill out a template on the right side or process a larger issue on the left. The templates bring more intention and success into my day, and I can use the adult coloring moments when I'm calling a parent or during a staff meeting. And Dr. Michelle has written letters to me throughout the book. It's almost as if she's reading my mind. The inspirational quotes remind me that I'm part of a legacy. Representation matters, and I do make an impact. What does your morning routine look like?
All right, welcome back. So now, Adrian, I want to talk about your interests, right? So one big thing about teaching is that it's a really time-consuming job, right? So teaching is a big time-consuming job, but you also have a passion for music. How do you balance those two?
Um, you kind of just sometimes you got to find ways to blend those two worlds. When I first started, I kind of tried to keep them separate a lot. And, it was kind of hard because of the demands of both, especially when you're trying to, at the point when I first started teaching, I was, really fully focused on music. So to kind of having to pull back from that so I can learn teaching and get, a foundation in that, it was hard to balance it at first. But the more I've gotten into teaching, the more I've been able to kind of integrate my music into it. So it makes it a little easier now. My faculty and staff and stuff, a lot of them know I do music, so a lot of them, support my music and things like that. So.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, I didn't say it before, but yeah, you are a musician, you do music, you rap, make songs on YouTube and everything. But that's cool. You said that you are integrating your music with your classrooms. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, so I would say one of the main ways that I've integrated just my musical talent into the classroom is with our PBIS. The PBIS is basically our behavior system, the way that we monitor correct behavior, the way that we award students for good behavior, things of that nature, kind of like motivate students to improve behavior in the classroom. And for the past 3 years, I think they started during the pandemic, they had like a PBIS versus battle, which is like where each school would have to make, it started out as like a song or a poem or something like that, but me being the person I am, they knew I do music, so they were like, "Hey, come up with a song, like a rap song, music video, something like that." So me and another one of my coworkers that did music, we came up with, our own PBIS video and song, and we wound up winning a like national award with that. Like, yeah, we
Yeah.
did. We won it like in the county like 3 years straight. Like we just won it last year, so we won it like 3 years straight. So when a lot of the kids see that I do that and do that, they see that I'm a math teacher and stuff, they kind of help me with building the relationships and things like that. So they already kind of they kind of look forward to coming to my class, so they already kind of look at me in a different light anyway.
Yeah, right. It like humanizes you in a way, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
one of my big things when I start teaching is that I want to show students that you can do both, right? Like you can do these physics problems, know Newton's laws of motion, but also be like really into like the new sneakers coming out and stuff too. Right?
Exactly. You don't
Yeah.
have to put yourself in a box. Like a lot of people feel like you gotta put yourself in a box. Like you can like a bunch of different things. You can be interested in a bunch of different things. You don't have to just be, just boxed into what people want you to do.
Yeah, right. And I want to say another thing that, again, I guess I just think teachers may struggle with is showing that personality outside of the classroom in the classroom too, right?
Mm.
So for you, you said your students all know about it, but in the beginning, was it ever a problem or a struggle of you maybe telling them that you do music or having them listen to music? Anyone ever find you before you let them know?
Oh yeah, one thing about the kids, like once they like see you and everything, they're gonna try to dig up any kind of little research, any kind of little, they're gonna type your name into Google, all kind of stuff. You feel me?
Yeah.
They gonna find you. As hard as you might try to hide yourself, the kids have a way of finding you. So they did actually find a couple of them. So I had to the first couple of years I was teaching. I think maybe the first year or two, I had to tell them like, nah, they're my cousin. He just looked like me.
Ah, what?
Yeah, tell nah, that's my cousin. He just looked like me. Or I don't know who that is, but once I started doing the videos and stuff with the school, it kind of got hard to, it kind of got hard to keep up that, little facade. So yeah, I kind of once I started doing the video with the school, I kind of had to buy into it. Like, yeah, that's me. You know, I do that. I do music. You know, things like that. And I've even had a couple of people come up to me. You know, now that I do music and they know that I do music, I've had a couple of students who were even thinking about doing music themselves. They sent me songs like, "Hey, coach, what you think about this? Like, you know, I want you to hear my song. You know, what I got to do, you know, to do this, or ask me questions about the industry, things like that, or how to do, you know, how do I get my songs on platforms, and asking me about, how to recognize it for somebody giving you a good contract, or
Mm.
fake deal or something like that. You know what I'm saying? So.
Has a student ever asked you for a feature? Is that on the table?
After they graduate high school, maybe. Like, you know what I'm
Okay,
saying?
okay. Boundaries.
Oh,
I
yeah,
love it. I love it.
you know what I mean? After they graduate high school, or if it depends on the kind of song. If it's on some positive type stuff, or it's, just a little fun type thing with the school, then we can link up. But if on their own personal type of music, then you gotta wait till you get a little older so we can have a conversation about that song.
Yep, I feel it's super important. But yeah, I think even for me, and I'm imagining a lot of teachers too, it's hard and uncomfortable to maybe let them know about things you do outside the school. Like for me, like I'm really into music, rap music, and stuff like that. I wouldn't even want my students to know I'm going to certain concerts on certain days, right? But again, you're kind of painting the picture on how it's important to show your multiple, I guess, aspects of your personality,
Uh-huh.
right? Can you maybe give advice to some teachers who may be struggling with, okay, should I share this? Should I not share this? Like, what do you think is the right way to go about that?
Well, first of all, I would say you definitely got to make sure that you keep your boundaries. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to overshare because you don't want it's a fine line. You got to balance between, you being relatable, but them still respecting you. You know what I'm saying? So you got to have some boundaries and everything as far as what you want to share, how personal you want to get with the kids and everything.
Yeah.
you know. So I would say that. And then just like I said, man, a lot of these kids, honestly, at least I knew when I grew up, excuse me, when I grew up, I used to think that teachers didn't do anything besides teaching. That was just all they did. And the only time I saw them was in the classroom. I guess there was some mystical people that only appeared in the classroom. When you saw a
But wait,
teacher.
wait, wait. I thought the exact same too. Is that good or bad to think that way?
um, to be honest, I don't know. I don't know because
Right?
it,
Because
it,
like you want to
yeah,
keep that professional persona. You want them to see you in a
dude.
light. But I guess I don't know, it's humanizing or making people more real, I guess, better for students.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking. Like, it definitely is some benefits to, them still just seeing you as a professional, figure. But I would say that was probably worked out better in the past. This new generation of kids and everything, if they don't relate to you, or if they don't, at least rock with you to some kind of level, it's going to be hard to kind of try to teach them anything. It's going to be hard to kind of even get them to trust you enough to where they can, let you know, even if they don't understand anything, or if they have a problem, or, just to, so I don't know, it's kind of, you just got to kind of find that line.
Yeah. It also makes me think, is this a generational thing where like teachers our age and students who are the age right now, it's more normalized to do things like that? Because every teacher has social media, right? So every student, like what you said, is going to Google you to figure out who you really are. I feel like that wasn't common back then just because no one had social media, no one had Google to do stuff like that.
Right. Like, you got to think, uh, a lot of the times, the only time some kids saw their friends back then was if you went outside and, y'all stayed across the street, or y'all walked around, somebody else's neighborhood or something like that. Now, you got kids from different cities and different states can keep in contact with each other through social media, So back then, if your teacher didn't stay in the same city as you might not even saw them any other time but at the school. So yeah, with social media now, I think it kind of just it sheds a lot more light on a lot of things. It allows people to, show more of themselves. And yeah, I think that's kind of a definitely a newer generation type of thing. And then also, you got a new generation of teachers that are embracing it. And we're using that. You got some that's using that in their classroom to help improve instruction and everything like that. So
Yeah,
um,
yeah, I definitely see those two teachers like making songs and TikTok videos and stuff like that for their students, which I think is
right.
important too. Yeah, but I think you definitely hit it when you said setting those boundaries, right?
Hmm.
What exactly do I want my students to see? What don't I want them to see? Yeah,
Exactly. Exactly. You got to set those boundaries because once you as a teacher, once you get to a certain age, especially for the younger teachers, you might be younger than some of their mothers or fathers. You feel me? I want to say when I first started teaching, when I was like 23, 24, something like that, I was younger than a lot of my kids' parents.
yeah,
Now that I'm older, I'm 30 now. So like I'm closer to the age of a lot of their mothers and fathers, especially when you're in the seventh grade. So it's definitely, you know, yeah, it can be kind of when they see you a certain kind of way, it's gonna be important to establish those boundaries because, like I said, sometimes it's hard for some kids to distinguish between, all right, this is a person I need to respect and talk to this kind of way versus, all right, this is my cousin or my big sister or somebody I can talk to them like this.
right. And I guess I was saying that now that line is being a little more blurred now that everyone has access to everyone's social media. But hey, it's about setting those boundaries.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. One other thing I want to get into. So you are doing music. I've heard a bunch of your stuff online. You're also a great teacher, 7 years in. What's next? Where do you see your future? I know we kind of talked about balancing the two, but where do you see yourself?
Man, I'm a person that like to stay busy, man. So I always got a couple things in the pipeline. Right now, like I said, I'm coaching. So
Okay.
I won my first county and state championship coaching. I had my first championship season this past year. So, building on that, I'm kind of looking towards, doing my own little football training, type situations, or even moving up towards high school coaching. That's kind of next in the pipeline for me, honestly, within the next couple of years. And then, coaching is something you can do for a long time. You got Bill Parcells and all them folks like that is 60, 60 years old, 65 years old,
Yeah.
still coaching. So I know football is something, and then plus it's been a real interest of mine, ever since I stopped playing football in college, it's like I can't stay away from the game now. So football is definitely in the pipeline for me, the coaching thing. I'm getting my master's now, from Georgia State. I'm trying to get my master's in STEM education. I'm in,
Okay.
getting in the process of doing that right now. So, you know,
Man.
I'm speaking it into existence. You feel me? And I'm
Nah, man,
have
this is super inspiring because like there's so many people who are good at so many things, and I
yeah,
feel like they're usually drawn to pick one, right? You're doing all of it, right? You're a star coach, math teacher, and doing music. It's like, man, everything's pulling in each direction, but you're still trying to tackle all of them. You like to stay busy.
yeah, man. I feel like you got to. You gotta consistently challenge yourself. I feel like, I feel like you gotta consistently challenge yourself. And me personally, I like a routine, but every now and then you gotta face a little adversity to just, keep you sharp, to kind of help you learn some things. Sometimes you gotta figure out who you are,
Yeah,
it just
I like how you're approaching it as a challenge, right?
yeah, just another challenge, man. Something else to overcome, something else to learn from, something else to get you better, you know.
Yeah, okay. Hey, and you're doing it.
Yeah,
Man,
man.
really. Thank you so much for this, Mr. Gardner. Your thoughts on teaching middle school math, being a coach, doing music also, and everything you're doing in the classroom are all part of the reasons why I think you might be one of the greatest teachers of all time.
Appreciate that, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
really, really. And thanks to some of my sponsors like Costco, Teachers of Color Matter, Victorious RED Restoration, and some anonymous donors. We'd actually like to give you this $150 gift card to use with you or your students or whatever you choose.
Oh man. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, great teacher of all time. You deserve it.
Oh man, thank you, man. I appreciate that. Appreciate you. I appreciate you for having me on your platform, man. Thank you so much. Topics were perfect. So, hey, it's like I said, it's not a lot of time where we actually, get to talk about things, especially outside of teaching, or even people just pick our brains. A lot of times teachers would get criticized now, and especially during, the pandemic, people thought, there's a whole bunch of stuff been, going on with teaching nowadays. So just appreciate you. Appreciate you letting me on your platform.
Yeah, of course, you deserve it. Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I made this too, because teachers need an outlet to talk about teaching in a way to not get criticized, to be free and open. So yeah, I got you.
Appreciate you.
Yeah. Thank you to everyone else for watching The Greatest Teacher of All Time, where I, Quincy Dawson, interview teachers of color, type their personalities, strategies, and philosophies on education. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and like the video. And if you really liked it, leave a comment for me and Mr. Gardner to see. Also, if you are the greatest teacher of all time, or if you know the greatest teacher of all time, let me know. Go to greatesteacherofalltime.com and click on Submit a Teacher. Hope to see you soon.